Hello everyone, it's Absol 2213 here again with the third video discussing what evolutions I wish to see in Pokemon X and Y. In this video, I'll be talking about the Hoenn Pokemon, which is my all-time favourite region. Before we start, I just need to say that a lot of these Pokemon have personal stories behind them, and if you have your own thoughts and opinions, please don't hesitate to put those in the comment section below. Alright, enough of that, let's get straight into it. The first Pokemon to be on my list is Masquerade. To me, Masquerade was always a mysterious, forgotten Pokemon. Surskate was pretty rare to find, and by the time I actually caught one was when I completed the game, so there was really no point in training it. Also, with a pretty low base stat at 414, Masquerade probably wouldn't be in any competitive battling anytime soon. Plus, I personally think Masquerade is a really pretty Pokemon, so an evolution would be quite appropriate, as Junichi Matsuda recently announced that the new game's theme is based on beauty. Okay, this next Pokemon is also quite special to me. Sableye was such a cool Pokemon when I was a kid, and it still is. Finding one for the first time in Granite Cave was so thrilling, I just had to catch it. Its design is fantastic, but its base stats are lacking as they are sitting at 380. If Sableye had an evolution, it would be pretty much indestructible as its typing being Dark and Ghost has no weaknesses. But again, it was never used in my party as there were always Pokemon stronger than it. The design would be cool too, as it could have more diamonds on its body and perhaps get a larger body and maybe teeth that resemble saber-toothed tigers. That'd be pretty cool. If Sableye gets an evolution, then Mawile also needs an evolution. I don't personally know much about Mawile, as I've only caught one, and that was when I borrowed my sister's Ruby version so I could complete my Hoenn Pokedex in Sapphire. But I think it has loads of potential considering its base stats are the same as Sableye's, 380. Plus, there are quite a few people who are saying that Mawile could be a Steel Fairy type, which would be awesome if that happened. The next Pokemon may be a little unexpected, as I haven't seen any videos wanting an evolution for this Pokemon. Monetrix. Playing Sapphire for the first time and coming across an Electrike was pretty cool, as I liked its design and it was an electric type. But the evolved form didn't jump out at me. It's quite strong with its base stats being 475, and landing some great attacks like Wild Charge and Thunder, but Monetrix's design could be enhanced. It could have more lightning shapes on it, and maybe change the yellow bit on the head. Speaking of electric Pokemon, these troublesome two should most definitely get an evolution. Plusle and Minun. There is so much that Game Freak could do with these twin Pokemon. With a base stat of 405, Plusle and Minun have tons of room for improvement. With the concept of positive energy and negative energy, Game Freak could make a neutral energy one, or if they are based on the math symbols plus and minus, then they could make a multiplier symbol and a division symbol, or maybe even an equal symbol. That'd be awesome. Or perhaps they could make Plusle evolve into a multiplier one, and Minun evolve into a division one, with their stats increasing depending on what they are. Okay, the next Pokemon tie in quite nicely with the Joy theme, Bowlbeat and Iliumize. These Pokemon have pretty cool designs but are really just there for decoration as they don't evolve and their base stats are kinda low at 400. But nevertheless, if Game Freak gave these two Pokemon an evolution, I bet they would get used more often. Bowlbeat and Iliumize resemble fireflies, which are interesting bugs, so there is a lot that Game Freak could play with, like making their entire bodies glow and illuminate, or perhaps giving them larger wings and bodies. Alrighty, this Pokemon is on my list purely for design purposes. Sharpeda is a shark Pokemon, clearly, but could be made into a meaner, bigger, tougher looking shark. Its base stats sit nicely at 460, but like I said, Sharpeda's design could be improved quite a lot. Or better yet, maybe Game Freak could create a whole new shark Pokemon, maybe base it on a tiger shark, and be part tiger, part shark. Now that would be a Pokemon that many fans would love. The rest of the Pokemon on my list all have no evolution line. So that being said, Torkoal is the next Pokemon. Comparing Torkoal with, say, a Camerupt, Makago or Blaziken, which are all Fire-type Pokemon in Ruby, Sapphire and Emerald, Torkoal would probably be the last Fire-type Pokemon I would choose on my team. Its base stats are pretty good at 470, but it doesn't evolve, which is kind of a turn-off for me. Part of the fun in a Pokemon game is evolving Pokemon, and Torkoal could be awesome if it had an evolution. Even a pre-evolution would be great. Okie dokie. So the next Pokemon is a panda-like Pokemon that never gets used. Spinder. Despite the fact that there are 4,294,967,296 versions of them, well, that is a tongue twister. No one that I know has ever trained one or put them in their team. When Pancham was revealed, everyone was so excited for a panda Pokemon. But what about Spinder? It's a panda too, isn't it? Well, its base stats are kinda bad at 360, so Game Freak could easily make an evolution. Perhaps it could be called Twirlda, Dizzyda, or even Danceda. Next up is a Pokemon that has a fantastic design and would be amazing if it got an evolution. Zengus. This cat-ferret Pokemon is actually not a bad Pokemon in regards to its base stats being 458. However, to see a Zengus evolve would be great. There is so much that Game Freak could do with its design. It's simple yet sinister looking, so perhaps the evolution could be bigger and even more evil looking. Perhaps it could get another type added to it, like fighting or even dark. That'd be pretty cool. Who could evolve Zengus without evolving its arch rival? Seviper. This fang snake Pokemon has the same base stat as Zengus, 458, so it's quite strong already. But with its slick and clean design, Seviper could get some tweaking done to it. Maybe it could get a rattle on its tail, similar to a rattlesnake, or maybe grow 2 heads, like how some snakes in real life have 2 heads. Seviper has tons of potential in regards to design. What can I say for this duo other than evolve? Solrock and Lunatone are 2 Pokemon that I've been wanting Game Freak to do something with for ages. There are tons of things that could be done, like creating a pre-evolution where if you train it during the day, it evolves into a Solrock, and if you train it at night, it evolves into a Lunatone. Or even have an evolution that resembles a star, comet, or even a planet. You could even have a combining evolution where Lunatone and Solrock evolve into one Pokemon that resembles a Solstice or something along the lines of that. Their base stats are both at a pretty good 440, but really an evolution or pre-evolution is possible and would be awesome. Alrighty, this Pokemon is similar to Sudowoodo as there are only a few in the game and you have to obtain a special item to battle it. Cleon is one of those Pokemon that are one of a kind, but I never used them. With its base stats being 440, there is still room for improvement. The concept is great as it's based on a chameleon and they change colours, which is awesome to base a Pokemon on that. Perhaps the evolved form could transform depending on the weather, similar to Castform, and physically look different instead of just saying Cleon's type changed depending on what attack its opponent used. Maybe a pre-evolved form would be cool too, and that could have ability to change colour depending on where you're battling, like transforming to a rock type if you're in a cave or a grass type if you're in a forest. So yeah, there's a lot that Game Freak could do with its concept and design. I've always loved this Pokemon, but it's never been on my team due to its lack of evolutions. It's Tropius, of course. This giant banana tree has a fantastic design, but due to it being found quite late in the game in Ruby, Sapphire and Emerald, I never use it as I already pretty much have a complete party. Its base stats are quite good being 460, so perhaps a pre-evolution would be better suited. I would seriously consider training a Tropius if it had an evolution. The design could be played with a bit, maybe adding more fruit to it or large leaves. I don't know why, but this is a Pokemon that I'd truly love an evolution for. I think everybody is expecting this Pokemon to be on this video. It says it all in my username too. Absol. There are no words to explain how awesome it would be to have an Absol evolution, or even a pre-evolution. Its base stats are a respectable 465, but that's no reason to not make an evolution. Absol is my all-time favourite Pokemon, and I think its design kicks everyone's butts. The concept is also really interesting, as it's the natural disaster Pokemon, so maybe its evolution could resemble a fire, tornado, earthquake, or a flood, or perhaps the horn that's on top of Absol's head could change in accordance to the weather. However, if Game Freak make an evolution, they better make it amazing, because they just simply cannot ruin Absol. The only thing that I would change about Absol is its playability. Don't get me wrong, it has some cool attacks, but maybe a few more would be nice, and perhaps a second typing would help it too. I think Ice, Electric, or even Fire would complement Absol's Dark type brilliantly. Then it could learn cool attacks such as Blizzard, Thunder, and Fire Blast without having to use TMs. So this last Pokemon doesn't need an evolution per se. Luvdisc is a forgotten Pokemon. I'm not aware of anyone who has trained one. It's very weak with its base stats sitting at 330, and it has no evolutions. But then Game Freak came out with Amamormala 2 generations later that looks uncannily similar to Luvdisc. Why did they do this? I have no idea. They both are pink, are water types, and are shaped like a love heart. If Luvdisc doesn't get an evolution, then Game Freak should definitely link these two Pokemon together somehow. Maybe if you train Luvdisc and raise its happiness value while it's holding an item like a heart scale, then it will evolve into an Amamormala. Well, that concludes my list of Pokemon that I want to see an evolution or pre-evolution for from the Hoenn region. If you have any thoughts or opinions, make sure to put them in the comment section below. Next, I'll be doing my hopes for the Sinnoh region, so stay tuned for that. Make sure to like, subscribe and comment, and thank you very much for watching.